Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Teenology Podcast, where teens make sense of the world that they are about to change. I'm your host, Aiden Middleton, who has now seen Tyler Joseph in real life. And I'm very excited to be here with you guys, along with my dad.
And who has also seen Tyler Joseph in real life.
That is true. We did see Tyler Joseph and Josh Dunn live.
Aiden, you breathed the same air as 21 Pilots.
I know. That's
in
what
the State Farm Arena in the
Yeah.
ATL.
That's what I told all my friends, and they were like, "You're a fangirl," and I was like, "I embrace it. I embrace it."
It's pretty accurate. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, Aiden, what are we talking about today?
Today's episode is about using time wisely. How teenagers in our busy lives manage our time.
I'm actually impressed that we're not going to just sit around and talk about 21 Pilots for 15
we should
minutes.
do an episode where we just talk about 21 Pilots.
Maybe we could get Josh or Tyler on the episode.
Yes.
But I might have to do the interview because you might not be able to breathe if they
Yeah,
were around.
I'd probably just be like, just be shaking my chair.
All right. Well, before we get to that, it is time for the Gen Z word of the episode. All right, Aiden. It's that time again in the seemingly endless hole of Gen Z words that there are. I got another one for you.
What?
Glow up.
Glow up.
What does glow up mean?
Glow up is when somebody glows up. It's when they
That's
look.
helpful.
Yeah, no, it literally is like, it generally is referred to as when somebody goes through like a physical change and they look way better, like over a certain period of time.
So I've had a glow up in the last several years, huh?
No. No, I've had a glow up though. So like when I got out of the hospital,
Yeah.
like I was like insanely skinny,
Yeah.
and I like couldn't even stand up straight.
Yep. I
And
remember well.
now I am not skinny as much anymore.
You're still skinny.
Yeah, but
You just don't
I
look
got muscle now
emaciated
though.
anymore.
I just got muscle now though.
I mean, that's relative.
No, I got muscle now though, and so I would say I look better than I did when I got out of the hospital.
100%.
So that's a glow up.
You had a glow up.
Exactly.
All right. Sounds good.
Yes.
Well, now I know what to do. Now that I'm an old man, can I still have a glow up even though I'm an old man?
Maybe when you're like 80.
80?
I don't think you're gonna look your best until you're 80.
I think if I just got a tan, I just needed some tan.
And a new hairstyle.
And hair. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have enough hair to style. So, unfortunately, unless I just
So you're telling me you don't comb in the morning? You don't comb
No.
your hair in the morning?
I haven't brushed my hair in years. So unless I just shave my head, I will not.
I mean, you have virtually no hair on your head. I don't know why you just don't go ahead and shave it.
I have enough. I have some still, but I keep it tight, high and tight.
I cannot wait for you to go bald. It's gonna be so.
All I gotta
weird.
say is be careful how you make fun of it, because you might be going bald too soon.
I'm never gonna go bald.
Oh, famous
Never.
last words. All right,
Never.
let's get to the podcast.
Alright, so as we talked about earlier, as we mentioned, today we are talking about how to use our time wisely. You know that us teenagers have very busy lives. And, I mean, we have to manage things like school, church, sports, jobs, homework, God, family, friends, video games, social media. The list goes on.
Exactly, and then how do you
The
cram
list
3 hours of
goes-
TikTok consumption
The list
into your daily
goes
life,
on.
right?
The list goes on. So with all of these things taking up our time, what are some tips that you have for us to manage our time wisely?
I'm going to get to the Bible in just a second. I'll do something really practical just at the beginning. I think you just need to prioritize what's important.
Yeah, so what are the most important things that we can prioritize?
Yeah, well, in your stage of life as a teenager, I think first and foremost, regardless of what stage of life you're in, old, young, middle-aged, God's always number one. And so we need to prioritize our relationship with God. So what does that look like? Maybe it means, well, I get up in the morning and I read my Bible, or I do a YouVersion devotional with some friends.
Yeah.
Or maybe I do it in the afternoon when I get home if I'm not awake enough in the morning. It doesn't necessarily matter what time you do it. I think as long as you're doing it and you're being consistent
and it's
with
meaningful.
It. Yeah.
And because I feel like if it's different if you're like just going and like doing it because you have to
Mm-hmm.
You're like waking up and you're like, I have to do this, but you're not really taking anything out of it.
Yeah.
So I agree. I think it's more of not when you do it, but as long as you do it and
Yeah.
it's meaningful.
You're laying foundations in your life right now that you're going to reap from years and years later. So I would say first, your relationship with Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
I would say secondly, you're in a season of education.
Mm-hmm.
You're in a season of schooling. And so school should be another big important thing, and so you need to prioritize it. I know there's not a ton of kids out there that like school. I know there's a few of them, but you need to prioritize your school. You need to if you got homework, you need to do your homework. If you got big projects, and I would say one of the biggest things that has actually been a conversation in our home recently is creating margin, which means not waiting until the very last not waiting until the very last minute to finish a project, but you say, hey, if I got a project due in 3 weeks, then I know, man, I can go ahead and do this now and get it done with, and then not have to think about it, so that I have an opportunity to do something fun later on. Because I'm sure everybody here has probably can think of one event in their life that they waited on and they procrastinated on, and then there's an opportunity that came up, and we're here in Orlando. Maybe it's like, hey, somebody's got free tickets to Disney or Universal, and then you're like, oh, I can't go because I got a project I got to finish.
Unless you're like me and you're the absolute master of procrastination and can still get everything done on time while you procrastinate.
Yeah, I don't think that's really a title that you want, which is why it's been a conversation in our home recently. So I would just say, prioritize God, prioritize your school, and also, when I say prioritizing God at the beginning, I think that also in our family, what that means is church on Sunday, and our youth group for you guys.
You my Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A is closed, but you my Chick-fil-A. Quoting the famous philosopher Kanye West.
Philosopher.
And
President
future
Kanye West.
Future president
Yes.
of the United States of America.
I will vote for Kanye.
POTUS West. But having church and youth group for us is on Sunday nights, and for our family, those are just kind of non-negotiables. Those are things that we're going to do, things that we're going to be a part of. And so, it's prioritizing those things. And then after that, there's other important things in our lives, but I don't think things that are going to be as important. So whether or not you're playing sports or you got a job or something like that, those things are important. But I think if they get in front of those other 2 or 3 things, like our relationship with Jesus and school and church, I think we're kind of getting things out of order a little bit. And I think that's where we start to get in some murky waters.
Yeah. So what does the Bible say about time?
Time is a really important idea in Scripture, because Scripture is pretty clear is that God has given us our time, and we are stewards of the time that He has given us. I want to read a verse to you that has an indirect implication of time, and it's found in Proverbs 6:9, 10 and 11, and it says this: How long will you lie there, O sluggard? When will you arise from your sleep? A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come upon you like a robber, and want like an armed man. So what the author of Proverbs is saying here is that time is a gift, and we should use our gift to be productive.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's kind of talking about people that are just being lazy and sleeping too much and not doing things. I think we could almost, translate this into our modern world of, yes, sleeping too much or being lazy, but also talking about, wasting a whole lot of time on social media. There's just nothing inherently wrong with social media, but we all know how easy of a black hole it is just to fall into and spend tons of time on something that honestly is really not that important.
Yeah.
And so it's saying, hey, be careful, because you need to know how you are spending your time, because ultimately we will actually give an account to God on how we've spent our time. What did we do with the time that He has given us on earth? Because the Scripture says that we're not promised tomorrow.
Yeah.
Meaning I could die tonight, right? There's no promise I'm going to be alive tomorrow. And so I need to make sure that in the meantime, while I'm here on earth, I'm using my time as wisely as I can.
Yeah. That's great. So our next episode is actually also going to be on the topic of time and how to spend time with certain people. You guys know how we do things. We keep it no cap on Teenology Podcast. If you guys missed the other episodes, make sure you go back and check those out. Tell your friends about our podcast and follow us on Instagram at Teenology Podcast, and send in questions and topics that you guys want to hear about, things that you guys are having questions about in the world that we live in today. Don't forget, the Teenology Podcast is where teens make sense of the world that they are about to change. See you guys later.